I'm going to kick your butt, Cage. Can you threaten to kick me in a funny way at 59? Rick Harrison is facing a nightmare that no father ever wants to face. His son has been sentenced to life in prison for years. Pawn Stars was a hit because it showed off rare items and big deals, but behind the cameras, things were falling apart. The once proud Harrison family is now caught up in lawsuits, betrayal, and a crisis that no one saw coming. What shocking truth has Rick been telling? He has been hiding something all this time, but what he is about to say will completely destroy the TV industry. The pawn empire that fell apart. Rick Harrison built the gold and silver pawn shop from the ground up with his keen sense of value and extensive knowledge of history. His father, Richard "Old Man" Harrison, was the business's backbone, running it with a strict but wise approach. When he died in 2018, the family's fate changed and Rick took over the business. The once thriving empire started to fall apart because of money problems and internal fighting, but those problems are nothing compared to what happened to his son behind bars. Before we go any further, it's clear that Rick Harrison's world has fallen apart in ways that no one saw coming, and what happens next will absolutely shock you. We have a media that it's just bomb-throwing news. It's not really news. Networks like CNN have been talking about it for months, but the truth is that no father wants to see their son get a life sentence, not just a few years. That's forever, and it makes you wonder what went wrong. This isn't just about a business empire anymore. It's about a family falling apart. The show may have made them famous, but that clearly wasn't enough to keep things together. Now there is only one man left to fix a family name that is falling apart because of crime, greed, and betrayal. The empire he built isn't just about rare antiques and big deals, it's about survival. From fighting for control of the pawn shop to defending himself against accusations from his own mother, he has been at war on all fronts. His mother, Joanne Harrison, has taken him to court over business assets, saying she was tricked into giving up her share of the shop when she was weak. If this is true, it means he has been holding on to a business that legally may not even be his. If this is true, it means that someone is using an old woman to try and bring him down. Either way, it's not good for the family. Then there's the money. The pawn shop used to make over $1 million a year, but since the pandemic, sales have dropped, profits have dropped, and the business isn't as profitable as it used to be. On top of that, lawsuits have taken even more of his money. No one ever thinks that all doctors are bad, but for some reason everyone hates pawnbrokers. It's not fair that Hollywood hates pawnbrokers because his empire isn't just in trouble, it's in danger of falling apart completely. And with his son now locked up for life, one can't help but wonder if this is the last straw that will bring it all down. His mom had enough of waiting for money that never came, so she took matters into her own hands. The Daily Mail reported that Joanne put a restraining order on her own son to stop him from selling off family assets. She said she did this because he had stopped sending her the money she was owed from Richard Scher's business Once Upon a Time. The checks were worth over $200,000 until he stopped sending them in 2020. Joanne wasn't going to just let it go, so she filed a legal order to make him start sending her money again and to make sure he couldn't sell off family assets. Even worse, Joanne, who was over 80 years old, had serious health problems that needed constant care. Her medical bills were reportedly over $100,000 per month. But the biggest surprise was that he didn't even know about the restraining order from his own mother. He found out about it by watching the news. He tried to get in touch with her, but she wouldn't answer. Negotiations failed several times over the next few months because she wouldn't pick up the phone. Instead of being handled privately, the situation turned into a public legal battle, and just when you thought things couldn't get any messier, there was more drama in Rick's family. But the problems in Rick's family were just the beginning. People close to them were about to cause even more trouble. Enter Chum Lee, who you may know as Even Play. Even though he played a likable goofball on the show, Chumlee was always getting into trouble off-screen. In 2012, cameras caught him in a crazy street fight in Hollywood. The other guy was hurt and bleeding, and Chumlee ran away. He said it was self-defense because the other guy had threatened him and his friends with a gun, but that was just a warm-up for what was to come 4 years later. This time, police raided his home while investigating assault claims and police found a stash of drugs like meth, weed, and Xanax, along with 12 guns, most of which were not registered. The assault charges were later dropped, but Chumlee wasn't getting off easy. He had to make a deal to avoid serious prison time by pleading guilty to a felony weapons charge and an attempted substance possession charge. And just when you thought that was enough scandal for one reality show, another bombshell comes out. There's a lot going on there. A lot of people like the family interaction. Kids love Chumlee, and this time it's his own son Corey who plays big hosts on the show. Corey was known for partying hard, but one night things got out of hand when he pulled into a bar in Jefferson City while on a motorcycle tour. Witnesses said he had been drinking a lot all week, but that night he took things to a whole new level. He ended up urinating in public. He was kicked out of the bar for throwing a stool. Not a good sign. Look for a guy who wanted to take over the family business. Corey tried to avoid the bad press, but it wouldn't go away. He said sorry and tried to be nice, hoping that people would forget. But 2021 brought more bad news. This time, it wasn't just a small problem. It was a huge mess that made people question everything. The headlines told a crazy story about an RV crash and a lot of unanswered questions, and that was the end of his story. His reputation took another hit, making it clear that his problems were far from over. In 2020, Corey rented an RV for a short trip in the California desert. Sounds harmless, right? Well, the owner of the RV, William Harrison, said that Corey didn't return it when he was supposed to, and when he did, it was a total disaster. The awning was torn off, the inside was a mess, and it looked like a tornado had gone through it. For some strange reason, the whole thing was filled with empty bottles and eggs. What kind of vacation was that? The owner had to cancel 10 reservations because the RV wasn't usable, and the repair costs were estimated to be a whopping $30,000. But when it came time to take responsibility, Corey wasn't exactly stepping up to the plate. In fact, I have to agree with him that women are better negotiators than they get credit for. Instead, his team played down the situation by saying the RV had some mechanical problems and had to be towed back. That was their only statement. Insurance was supposed to take care of it, but that didn't fix the damage done to the car or Corey's already bad reputation. As if legal problems weren't enough, Corey was also having personal problems. His weight had gotten so bad that he had to have gastric bypass surgery in 2010 and lose over 100 pounds. But that didn't make life any easier. Running the pawn shop, dealing with fame, and trying to stay healthy all added up, making his life harder. Personal problems were just as hard for him as his public ones. At least he had Chumlee, who was inspired by Corey's transformation to start losing weight himself. But no matter how much he tried to get rid of the weight, the problems from his past never seemed to go away. Then there was the scandal that shook the whole show. Pawn Stars wasn't just about haggling over old coins and rare collectibles. It was built on trust, and a big part of that trust came from the experts who checked the items. After a series of scandals, people began to question whether any of this was real. Just when things looked bad enough, an even bigger surprise came from the experts that everyone trusted. They lied to everyone. One of the first big blows came in 2015 when Johnny Jimenez Jr., who was known for selling old toys, got into a lot of trouble. Video footage showed him allegedly assaulting his girlfriend outside of a Las Vegas restaurant. He tried to explain it away by saying he was just helping her after a wild night of drinking, but the people started to look at him and the show differently. If Johnny had secrets, who else did? In 2011, John Resnikoff, who was supposed to be an expert on autograph authentication, said with confidence that a signature on a Godfather script belonged to Al Pacino. It turned out that the signature belonged to the film's producer, Al Ruddy. It may have seemed like a small mistake, but it made people wonder how many other times had the so-called experts been wrong. People were watching short videos online instead of coins and old guns to get people's attention. The audience had moved on, and so had television. Now that we look back at what is left of Pawn Stars, we can see that it was a show that had a huge impact and also a complicated legacy. It took a small, family-run pawn shop and made it one of the most famous companies in the world. For years, people came just to meet Rick Corey in Chumley, hoping to see a real deal happen right in front of them. But the show also showed the reality of reality TV. As time went on, it became clear that not everything was as it seemed. The lawsuits, the drama behind the scenes, and the scripted moments all changed how people saw the show. What began as an honest look at a unique business slowly turned into just another form of entertainment. Is Rick Harrison's son really deserving of his life sentence? Or is there more to the story that the public isn't being told? Could there be hidden facts that could change everything we think we know about this shocking case? Is still going on, and the more we look, the more questions come up. What do you think? Was justice done, or was it a terrible mistake? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and follow for more.